Zacchaeus wanted to know. And so, ignoring the crowd's response, ignoring social etiquette, Jesus stopped and he arranged to hang out with a sinner, a social outcast, and he justifies it by saying this. He justifies it by saying that essentially all men, regardless of race, religion, or creed, are equal. I've translated it to modern language. He says all men are equal and that you shouldn't judge them on their value by what you see right in front of you. And he says, so I am going to have dinner with this person. And that is okay. And because I'm having dinner with this person, because I've stopped to take time to hang out with this person, they have been saved. You can see it in their action as Zacchaeus promises to pay everything back. Hey, Jesus didn't come to judge the world. He came to save it. And he shows compassion to every single one of us. And I guess the challenge for us, as those of us who believe in Jesus, as followers of Jesus, is to show compassion to others. And in order to live compassionate lifestyles, in order to dream compassionately, we need to be willing in the first instance to make a difference. We need to be willing when the opportunity presents itself to act in ways that are totally outrageous, totally different to what we expect to do. We need to shun essentially what people would expect us to do. And so tonight, as we start closing, talking about compassion for the first part of the series, I want to finish with just one story, and then we're going to do something a little bit different at Ignite. You can see we've got a whole bunch of musical instruments around us, and in a second the band's just going to slowly make their way up here as they see fit. And what we're going to do tonight, which is a little bit different, is I'm going to give you guys the opportunity to respond in what we call worship. It's a time where we sing to God. And for some of you, this is going to make perfect sense because this is a way of you talking to God, and it's a way where you get filled up, and it's a way where you can actually leave this place and start showing compassion to other people. It's a way where you get strength and grow in your relationships. For others of you, it's going to be like, this music thing is kind of weird. Not too sure why they're suddenly singing at Ignite. Don't know if I want to do this. And all I ask of you guys is when my wife Kat comes up and says, please stand and sing with us, if the whole singing thing is not your deal, just stand quietly and just listen to the music. And if you like the music, cool. If you don't like the music, no worries. But if you're comfortable, I ask when we do this, I want us to all just sing and give worship to God. So these guys are going to start making their ways up. And I just want to finish with this last story. It's a story that I found on the internet, and it's supposed to be a true story. Now the reality is, I haven't gone out to check whether it is or isn't true, but it's a story which I know there are many out there like it. And so this story could be any one of a number of stories. And the story goes like this. It's called For My Paco. It starts like this. It says, I am a healthy 23-year-old, born with normal vision, normal hearing, and normal speech. My twin sister Dawn was not born so lucky. My mother was very young when she gave birth to my sister and me. Because we were born so early, we were placed in incubators until we were 3 weeks old. While in the incubator, the doctor administered too much oxygen to my sister. She was later diagnosed with cerebral palsy, which is a nervous disorder and causes a malfunction in the sensory motor skills and also brain damage. She had undergone several unsuccessful surgeries to restore her sight, which was completely gone in the left eye and only 68% detectable in her right eye. Along with a slow developing brain and legal blindness, it was also determined that she was legally deaf in her right ear. And we've seen what it's like to watch a video clip without sound. Now imagine watching the video clip with limited sight. She had to wear braces on her legs and she had to walk with crutches. She stuck out like a sore thumb connected to all those contraptions, so often causing people to stop to stare at her. While growing up a twin, I felt my identity was not my own. I wanted to just be Dawnette, not Dawn's twin sister. We lived in a small neighborhood where my sister was the only different child. That was different. We were both constantly picked on, and we never had any friends because of my sister's condition. I began to loathe my sister, and I did everything and anything to get her into trouble, to get back at her for being born mentally retarded and physically disabled. I felt like she was a constant thorn in my side. I was embarrassed to be seen with her, and so I made fun of her right along with all the other children. When I turned 12, my mother was so disgusted by my behavior that one day my mother grabbed me and she threw me into the bedroom. And then she threw in with me a yellow book, which I realized was a photo album. There were numerous baby pictures of my sister and I dressed alike. The only difference, Dawn was hooked up to tubes and needles and machines. She had her hands and her fingers taped so she could not compromise the patch that was on her eye from surgery. She looked like a mummy. I looked so small and peaceful. There were several pictures of the two of us in the hospital until we were 3 years old. Once again, Dawn was wrapped up in a glorified mummy outfit, with tubes and needles attached to her everywhere. If you looked closely, you could see the pain reflected in her eyes. The picture that stood out most was a Polaroid snapshot of the two of us. We're in the crib and we're hugging each other, and the caption below read, "I am so happy to get a visit from my twin sister Nessie. The doctors make me cry. She makes me laugh." I noticed one common factor in all the pictures. Even though she was in a great deal of pain and suffering so much, this baby girl, who some would call handicapped or retarded, smiled so big for the camera. I realised that what my mother was trying to show me, and I felt ashamed at the way I treated her, and so I cried myself to sleep. Later that evening, my sister crawled into my bedroom and she woke me up for dinner, and I kissed her and I hugged her and I professed profusely that I was sorry for my behaviour. She just sort of looked at me with uncertainty in her eyes. I knew that she did not know what I was talking about, but I did. I knew. From that moment on, I was my sister's protector. No one was going to hurt her for any reason. If the children in the neighbourhood did not want to play with her, or with us because of my sister, so be it. We would play with each other. We did not need them. We were inseparable. Now, as I look back, I realise that never once did I take my sister's feelings into consideration. I did not want to know my sister's story of why. I was caught up in my own selfishness, so caught up that I never saw her pain. I never put myself in her shoes. I never had to struggle to do normal things, everyday activities. I could run, I could jump all on my own, without crutches. I never knew how truly blessed I was, or how special Dawn is. Now I know that I made it worse for her because she longed to be normal like me. Strangers do not understand her because they do not know how to deal with her, nor do they have the experience dealing with her, so they treat her indifferently. But I am a sister, her blood, and I know that I should have been there for her from the beginning. I am her other half, just as she is my other half. When Dawn hurts, I hurt. That is the unbreakable bond that Dawn and I share. After all, I am Dawn's twin sister, and she is my world. I love you, Paco. And to me, that story is a story of compassion. You see, sometimes it costs us to be compassionate. The question is not whether you can act. The question is whether you're willing to give compassion. Sometimes compassion requires us acting in ways where we wouldn't normally do things, or things that are against social convention. The question is, will you respond with compassion? Sometimes it's embarrassing to help others or to hang out with others. Will you show compassion? Will you see the other person as a person or who they are? You know, when I read my Bible, every time I'm reminded again and again that the world is filled with broken people. We're all broken. And as Jesus came down to walk this planet, he didn't walk around going, well, I judge you because you're kind of messed up, and I judge you because you're kind of messed up, and I judge you because you're kind of messed up. What Jesus really did is he walked around and he said, well, you're sick, I can heal you. You're deaf, I can heal that. You're a prostitute and broken, I can work with that. You're my family, I'm going to hang out with you guys. You're my friends, I'm going to hang out with you guys. You're kind of wealthy, I'm going to hang out with you. You see, wherever Jesus went, he embraced people. He showed compassion. And so the question for us tonight is, next time you see something or suspect that something's not right, will you respond like Jesus did? And will you respond with compassion? So I believe that everybody needs compassion. And I believe that Jesus shows us compassion, and that everyone's in need of a Saviour. And he's with us tonight. And so tonight we're going to begin the time of worship. We're going to sing the song, Our God is Mighty to Save. And I'm going to hand over to Kat. And if that's something that you're into, just stand and sing. And if it's not, just stand and listen. I'll hand over to the worship team.
Hello. Thanks, Nick. Let's stand.